this shouldn't be a surprise to hardcore boxing fans that Dmitry Bivol is not going to be fighting David Benavidez next, but instead he's going to be fighting Artur Beterbiev in a trilogy fight sometime in October, according to online sources. Dmitry Bivol, however, has vacated his WBC title, which is a surprise to me. Now, normally when they have these purse bids, by the way, the purse bid was supposed to be tomorrow, April the 8th. It's April the 7th. This news just broke about less than a couple of hours ago of me recording this video. This 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on April the 7th. So normally they would file for an extension to say, okay, well, we ain't come to a deal yet. We're talking and trying to figure something out. Let's come back in a couple of weeks. And normally the sanctioning body would put out a press release online or through email saying, okay, both sides are in talks. We're going to extend the deadline for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month for them to come up with a deal. So this goes to show right there that, just to go ahead and just flat out say it, that this is Big Turkey. This is Big Turkey Al-Sheikh giving a big FU to the WBC and pretty much to Benavidez's team, and basically doing the same thing. It's starting to look like that PBC was doing, where if it's like, you're not with us, we're not giving you no shot. Now, guys like David Benavidez and Fundora, they've been teams have been holding out on working with Turki Al-Sheikh. They're Samson Lukovitz fighters. They're very big assets to PBC. PBC are on their way out. And I mean that where they don't have the war chest of talent that they used to, nor the dates, nor the finances to keep all of these fighters happy. It's no secret now. It's all out there. Just look at their schedule over the last couple of years when they left Showtime, after they left Showtime. So I think like this. It should be clear now that Turki Al-Sheikh is trying to buy up boxing. And if you want to fight one of his fighters, you got to bend the knee. I mean, even Canelo bent the knee. And before that, he got Frank Warren in Matchroom to work together. He even got Golden Boy in Matchroom to work together. So to me, it's not about the money. And if he wanted to make it happen, he could have said, okay, you know what? Bivol is going to fight David Benavidez. And then after that, they fight Artur Beterbiev. Now, another thing we don't know is the contractual situation to where Bivol can't fight David Benavidez, that it was already signed, a 3-fight deal or whatever to fight Beterbiev. We don't know. But here we are with David Benavidez getting bent over the barrel again because of boxing politics. Now, of course, the narrative is going to be that Dmitry Bivol ducked him. I just don't think it's him. What reason does he have to duck David Benavidez? It's the politics. Let's go see what this article says. But first, let's get to the particulars of the fighters. David Benavidez will likely be fighting Callum Smith in the fight that I'm really looking forward to. Callum Smith is a former 168-pound champion. He also fought Canelo. Canelo beat up his arms. A lot of people thought that Callum Smith may have been done, but remember, he's still relatively young for boxing. Obviously he's in his prime, or as Big J, my colleague, would say, the ass end of his prime. He's 34 years old, 6'3", good, nice, solid boxing. I never understood why a lot of people had him being the underdog against Joshua Buatsi. I was never high on Joshua Buatsi, but he's only lost twice. And because he lost to Artur Beterbiev and because he lost to Canelo, people have been writing him off. But can David Benavidez beat him? I don't know, because see, here's the thing. David Morrell was out there doing his thing, but he ain't have no crack on his punches. He had nothing to keep David Benavidez off of him. In fact, I was pretty sure that eventually, as I was watching the fight, Morrell was going to go out there and get stopped. Before that, Alexander Volzdik, Demetrius Andrade moving up in weight. He didn't have no power for him. Caleb Plant, well, depending on how you look at that, he didn't have the power for him. But I do think that Callum Smith has enough technical ability to maybe keep him off of him. And he's got a nutsack. He's got some balls. I am not saying that he's going to beat him. I'm going to pick David Benavidez. But I'm not saying that Conor Smith is not going to put on a good fight. Remember, David Benavidez is not untouchable. He's not invincible. He is beatable. We saw that with Ronald Gavro, although even though it was years ago, you can say it was nearly 10 years ago or 7 years ago, and David Benavidez was, 21, 22 years old. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go ahead and say it's the politics. That's the reason why he's not getting the fight. I don't agree with it. And to be very honest, Bivol Beterbiev 3, it's a fight that makes sense since both fights were 1-1 and very close fights where many fans, it's polarizing where it could have went either way. But, and also it doesn't help that Artur Beterbiev is now, 40? Yes, he is. He's 40 years old. So it's a rematch that does make sense. And I understand where the boxing fans are coming from when it's like, we want to see, like David Benavidez. But it looks like the politics are screwing him over again. So we don't have any real exclusive details right now, anything meaningful because, the news just broke. It just broke not long ago. So it's looking like it's, and as you can see, this is Ray. This is Ray. Don't count him. As you can see, it's people having, polarizing opinions, and he's going to be called a duck. But at the end of the day, it's your bosses that are making you drop the belt. So I guess you got to be the duck. You got to eat that. But I strongly feel that it's the politics in Turki Al-Sheikh that has really something to do with this. After all, there's been some rumors of some rifts between the WBC and Turki Al-Sheikh, and it's no secret that with TKO and the Endeavor Group, I believe they're called something else now. I believe they're just called TKO, right, or whatever they're called. Dana White and Turki Al-Sheikh. They're trying to buy up boxing. After all, let's go look at the rankings. You cannot get a heavyweight fight of any type of caliber without going through Turki Al-Sheikh. All of the top fighters at heavyweight has fought on a Turki Al-Sheikh card and may have some type of contract or agreement. Let's just go down the list. Daniel Dubois, Derek Chisora, F.A. Jogba, Frank Sanchez, Anthony Joshua, Felix Hergovich, Justice Hootie, Fabio Wortley, Moses Atama. You see where I'm going? Not Pulev, but even Ichi Cabiel, Joseph Parker. You got to go through him. When it comes to cruiserweight, you got to go through him in some extent. Now, Badu Jack, he's over there with Riyadh Season. Jayu Pataya, Riyadh Season. Gilberto Ramirez has a agreement with, he's promoted by Golden Boy, but they're working with Riyadh Season. Noel McCallion, champion in recess, he's a Don King fighter, but Turki Al-Sheikh has been working with Don King. They even met a few months ago, maybe it was like 6-7 months ago or something. When you go look at the light heavyweights, look. It's not like it's like really a lot in the light heavyweight division. But let's face it, if you want to get a championship, you got to go through them. And it's clear that Samson Lukovitz and his team and Benavidez and Fundora's team, they've been really trying to keep their fighters away from the Saudis. And I think it's just pretty much a game of like they're trying to box him out. They're trying to freeze him out. It's nothing. It's no different to me than what was going on with Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence and how PBC was dominating the 147-pound division, and they were literally freezing Terrence Crawford out. Yeah, they would throw him a bone because there was a lawsuit involved with Top Rank and PBC. They would say, all right, well, you can't say that we don't let you fight none of our fighters. Here is Felix Diaz. Oh, well, here's John Molina. You see what I'm saying? Here is Amir Khan. I'm not sure if Amir Khan was still Al Heyman at the time. Here is Sean Porter. You see what I'm saying? So, and even at 168 pounds, now that he's got Canelo, it's like, what are you going to do? William Skull's even getting a shot because Riyadh Season. So I don't agree with it at all. And that's why I've been skeptical. Listen, I want the good fights. I don't care where the money's coming from. I've always said that. I don't care if it's PBC, Bob Arum, Matchroom, Queensberry. I don't care who's funding these fights. I don't care. So right now, Turkey's on top. I understand it's the politics. I'm not saying I agree with it. But I do feel that, well, something's going to have to happen if David Benavidez wants the big fights. And also, how well is David Benavidez versus Callum Smith going to sell here in the States? Yes, David Benavidez is building a nice, solid name for himself, but he's never going to really be able to get over the hump if the division is totally dominated. Because remember, he had to move up from 168 because he was never going to get a shot. And then he was at 175 and going through the same shit. So whatever his management's going to do, we're just going to have to wait and see, because I'm really interested in how long, that's the storyline, is how long is PBC going to be able to hold out? Because as you can see, PBC fighters have been popping up on Riyadh season cards. So, the walls are kind of closing in a little bit. And eventually, sooner or later, these fighters are going to have to make the move if they want to be able to get the fights. And it's a shame because, in a way, another Cold War is kind of brewing. But it's more like a hostile takeover, I guess. It's like get down and lay down, or be laid down. So I'm interested to see where this goes. Let's see if there's any other, there's no new developments. Like, we don't know. By the way, I paid for Dan Rayfield's Fight Freaks Unite. So I'm waiting for his story to come out and see if it's going to be some details. But as you can see, there's no real details outside of the fact that he has vacated. They didn't even file for an extension. No, nothing. It just said, nope, it's not happening. Fuck that belt. I'm TstreeT Controversy with Fight View 360. Take your time out, like the video, subscribe. I guess we can expect Callum Smith versus David Benavidez. And David Benavidez is both the interim at WBA and WBC, and Callum Smith is the interim for the WBO. Yeah, something's going to have to give. So it's looked like we're going to see David Benavidez and Callum Smith, who's not even ranked by the WBC, by the way. Interesting, but I expect that to change. Interesting. Yeah. Because if Callum Smith isn't put into the WBC 175-pound rankings, then, look, it's not going to be Benavidez. Beterbiev. He already beat Morrell. I've seen him fight once or twice. Where have I seen you fight? Where have I seen this bloke fight? I've seen his Albert Ramirez, for those who don't know. I've seen him fight before. But where? I might have to look and chase down the card. I believe I've seen him fight one fight of his. But as you can see, the point I'm trying to make is the WBC rankings. He already beat Volzdik. Are you really clamoring to see David Benavidez versus Joshua Buatsi or Connor Wallace, Willie Hutchinson, Anthony Yard? Not me. Ill. I don't want that. I want nothing to do with that. So take time out, like the video, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at TstreeT Controversy. The links are down below in the description box, and here is my Twitter page. Thanks for watching. See you guys later.